up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting all the way across the city from me this week and every week, he's the king of all VR kings. He's Sofa King himself. I only move when he does. It's Jeremy King.
Wow, yay, thank you. And sitting all the way up in his golden tower, he's the super hot Brian Paul.
Warm in here today for sure.
It's warm in here too.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we dip into the PlayStation VR archive. We play the game at random. We dust the blow out of it. We play the crap out of it. We see what's getting loved by the developers, any updates, any DLC, and then we let you know, the loyal game cats, if it's worth your time. That being said, Jeremy, what game did we decide to play this week?
Superhot VR.
Superhot VR, not to be confused with Superhot non-VR, developed by Superhot Team. That's a real creative team name. Released July 21st, 2017 for $24.99. It's been on sale over 10 times during the last 3 years for as little as $10 without PlayStation Plus. I'm going to ask you a real tough question, Jeremy, and I know you're not expecting it. What kind of game is Superhot VR?
You know, it's funny. It's only rarely does this question ever pop into my head ahead of time. Like, oh, Brian's going to ask me what type of game this is. And it's like, oh, I can't say it's a bullet hell. A bullet, I don't know, stop motion, bullet, puzzle, time manipulation, like what the fuck type of a game? I don't know. Rinse and repeat.
Sure. So I'm going to call it a first-person action game.
Okay.
And
I guess so. I guess it could be thrown in there, yeah.
I'm also going to say it's a puzzle game.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a puzzle game.
So 2 move controllers only. You need 2 hands in this game. You also need full movement of your body.
Yeah.
Why is that? Tell me the premise of Superhot VR.
So basically the premise is like that one moment when Neo dodged the bullets for the first time in the Matrix. Like what he must have seen at that given moment is this game. Because it's like in the perspective of Neo. It's unbelievable. So, I mean, basically time stands still unless you move. And then once you move, these enemies that start coming out at you from different areas and with different weaponry, they move too. So when they take a shot, the bullet stands still. When you don't move, when you move, it keeps traveling towards you. So it's very much kind of like, what's that game that just came out where you like stand through the shape, O-shape? O-shape.
Yeah.
So it's almost like O-shape mixed with the Matrix bullet time. You know, it's pretty funky.
Yeah, you're placed like in an all-white world. There's like
yes, that's true too. Yes, I forgot to mention that. All white, except the enemies are like reddishy, orangey type of a color.
Sure, when the light hits them just right, they certainly reflect a little orangey. But yeah, like red, crystalline bad guys. And the world is all white. That doesn't mean there's nothing there. It just means that there's like an absence of color. All the environments, there's like plenty of different environments, and it seems like from stage to stage, you're all sort of connected. You're sort of placed right in the middle of like an action scene that's already in progress. And then after you complete each mini scene, you're automatically teleported to the next one. A little triangle comes up that says grab, boom, you're brought to the next one.
Yep.
You're not walking around though, right? It's like you're just stuck in place.
Yep.
And that's an issue. Because when people are firing things at you and people are trying to punch you, even in slow motion, you're like, I gotta move out of the way. There's no walk button. You just gotta use your living room to get away.
Yep. Yeah. And it really fucks with you because like you instantly want to be like, whoa, but then you also go like, ah! And you got to stop that instinct and be like, okay, what do I do?
It's funny you say that, man, because that when you're being shot in the face, I think that is your first instinct. Be like, no, but you do that and you just make the situation work if you or you make it worse. And so if you can manage to not move when you're getting shot at, you can sort of assess the situation, look around, be like, oh, that guy's also firing at me. This guy's firing at me. I love it when there's a dude with a shotgun and there's a spray of bullets. That's
it's like,
that's where that bullet hell reference you made earlier comes in. Where it's just like, oh, damn. Next thing you know, you're on your knees in your living room and you ain't getting paid for it. It's fucking crazy.
And what's neat though with this game too is that like a lot of things can be used to block the bullets. So I mean, it's not like once a bullet's coming at you, you just got to learn how to dodge it. You can try to figure out if there's an item that you can grab, because there's items you can grab in this game too that are basically black items.
Yeah. Very
The
easy to
absence
see.
of color. Yes,
Yes.
stand right out. So I mean, it could be little martini glasses, it could be ashtrays, it could be wine bottles, big ass wine bottles, weapons, whatever it might be. You can grab it and then deflect the bullets too, or even just throw whatever object it is at the little red mannequin enemies as well too.
How did
So
you
I mean,
feel about the throwing? Did you
I
get?
did not feel well about the throwing ever. It never felt right. It always felt a little awkward. That goes into one of the issues with the game that we can maybe save a bit. But I felt that the throwing mechanic was very strange. I never got it down. I mean, whenever I did hit him, I was like, yes,
Right.
because it was so rare.
Right.
But what about you? Did you have an issue with the throwing?
At first, absolutely. I found it almost. I found it almost unplayable in that regard. I was always looking for anything else I could do, other than throw something at the enemy. But this last time I was playing, I think it's just. I feel like at some point it clicked, and I know that I can't just throw.
Mhm.
I feel like with Superhot you have to sort of just push,
Yeah.
and there's a whole element with like pushing the move button when you do it too or something. So it takes a second to get used to. It's not just, oh, you grab it with the trigger and let go with the trigger. There's a
Yeah.
move button element to it too that takes a little while to get used to.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not what you would think of when you think of throwing in a VR game.
Yeah.
For me
It's
it feels
definitely
like
different.
pushing all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I never got the hang of it. Never. I never could.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't. I mean, I threw shit because there's a lot of puzzles where it's like that's your option. It's like I gotta punch this dude, grab his weapon, because you can grab weapons out of their hands too. You can just kill them and they grab the weapon. I mean, like they make you really feel like a lot of different Keanu Reeve characters. You really feel like John Wick as well in this too. So I mean, it's crazy how many Keanu's you can get out of this game. But yeah, you can punch some dude, grab the knife with the other hand, throw it at this enemy, grab this gun, duck down, fire some bullets, all in like really slow motion.
Yeah.
And that's the one. That's where the puzzle slash frustration, rage quitting can happen with this game at times too. For such a short game too, it packs a lot of rage quitting moments or close to it, because they tie together these mini puzzles, these little scenarios. So, long story short, you do this one to progress to this one, to progress to this one, to this one, to this one. If you fail at any one of those, you restart at the very beginning of that chain.
Yeah, there's a
So
group
that
of
can
them
get,
for sure.
yes, and that can, before they're like super hot, and that can get really frustrating at times
Yeah.
because, I mean, you'll since you got to kind of do it over and over again, you can get pretty good at these. You can feel like a badass.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I grab, punch, kick, swing, throw, dodge, shoot. You know what I mean? Then you're like
Yeah.
on, and you're like, yeah, and you stockpile that. You
It's like
keep
you're
doing
learning
that.
the choreography for each one.
Yeah, exactly. You're becoming like a stunt double,
Right.
and you're performing these things over and over again. But then sometimes just random bullets, random sprays, different things, because it's not the same exact path that those bullets take every time. They shoot at different time, the enemies. It's not like they are the identical thing over and over. It's slightly different. So it definitely keeps you going, and it definitely pisses you off at times. Did you have rage quitting moments with this game?
I certainly have at different points, but I do think that I will sacrifice the rage quitting in favor of being like, man, this game forces you to get good at it. Very seldom
Mm,
do you get through a stage like by sheer luck,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you're able to continue just by getting lucky, because
Mm,
you will die and then you have to come back and do it again, and then you'll die and come back and do it again, just like you said. And eventually it's crazy that you go from being like, I have no idea what to do, or why do I keep dying, or how do I keep dying, or how do I avoid keep getting killed all the time, to just being like, yep, duck, boom,
yeah. Yeah.
grab the thing.
Every time you progress and go further, when it's that one time you've had trouble and then you make it past, your heart's like puff, puff, puff. You get the adrenaline, like, oh, and then you get nervous because it's a whole new quick moment.
Yeah.
And they put you in, I mean, like, this game is the definition of like a bad spawn point. Like every single time you start this game, it's literally in a bad spawn point. So you got to be like, oh, and look around and figure it out, especially those times where you've never made it that far. And it's like, oh, it's really intense.
That is the best description anyone has ever given of Superhot VR. Like anyone, that is absolutely perfect. The whole game is one bad spawn point.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Fantastic.
insane.
So there's also an endless mode. So you go through a series of levels, and then you end up having endless modes. And I will say it's not the easiest main menu to work with, right? They put you in that really
No.
cool, like, kind of like obviously just a closet somewhere, but it's like
Yeah.
got all these
All
like
in color.
servers and wires and like everything
Sticky
running,
notes.
like
Yeah.
old school computers with like 3.5-inch floppy disks and shit.
Hmm.
But like they don't, it's not super clear. The post-it notes everywhere are sort of your achievements, the things that you've accomplished
Yeah.
in games, but they also don't tell you what you're trying to achieve, I don't
Yeah.
believe. And so you just kind of get them randomly, and it's like, oh, I didn't know I was trying to do that.
Yeah. It's one of those games because even the voice that comes over the computer, it's very deep and distorted. It's supposed to be very like hacky. Like
Right.
like what was that old Hackers, like the old Hackers movie. It
What was
was
that
very
movie where
much,
they hack things?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Johnny Mnemonic. We could throw in another Keanu movie.
There you go.
So anyways, yeah, you like some dude or some person in a closet with these like floppy disk hard, what were they after floppy disks? They were
No, those are floppy disks for sure.
floppy disks, even the
Yeah.
ones that were
Even the ones
like
that
the
weren't
thicker
floppy. Yeah.
zip disk.
Oh, zip
Remember zip
disks.
disk?
Yeah, those
Yeah.
those were short lived, like a
Yeah.
100 megabytes or something.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, so crazy.
It was almost like zip disk. And yeah, the menu was very awkward because yeah, there was a lot of menu monitors with things being said. You're supposed to grab this giant VR headset and put it on you in your living room, but it was so awkward grabbing this thing and trying to fake put it over your head.
I couldn't
You
grab
know?
it. I've never
No.
successfully grabbed it the first 2 or 3 times. I'm always like, why isn't this registering? I just want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which brings me to issues I've always had with the game back when I used to play it. Because unlike other times on Why We Love, where it's like I've never played it before,
Hmm.
this one I actually played a long time ago. And then again, more recently to refresh myself with this, and I had the same tracking issues quite often. I would have floating hand issues, which then, as it was floating, would then register as me moving,
Damn.
so everything would continue to move on, and I was like, Christ. So I had that kind of an issue also when I would duck down a little too low. I've never gotten over that. No matter where I set my camera up, height or anything, that's something that I can't blame for this game solely, because I've had it with other titles where if I get a little too low, it's like I'm hitting that invisible floor,
Hmm.
and I can't see anymore, and it's not even, it's like I think 4.5 feet off the ground, maybe 5.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, that's
when
not
you,
bad, right?
it's not bad at all. I mean, like I've got mine about 6.5, 7 feet off the ground, and it's
Mm,
aimed very much down, sort of toward the floor of my play space. So
yeah,
I can actually get down all the way, almost all the way down to the floor, and have it still
yeah.
track. I didn't have any problems personally with any of the drifting. But man, talk
Hmm.
about a game like this and Beat Saber are like probably the two games that would piss me off the most in.
Yeah. Oh man,
To
the
see your
I
hand
had that
float
in
off,
Beat
be like,
Saber.
oh
Yeah.
fuck, it's all over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There it
I need
is.
to come
Yeah.
over. We need to work on your setup, man.
I know, because this is a big issue. I've had it all the time for years
Yeah.
now.
So real quick, there is another episode of Why We Love PSVR, Superhot VR. There's another episode, and neither one of us are on it.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, absolutely. I let Des take the reins on that one, and he
Yeah.
invited his stunt actor, stunt what's it, what stunt man,
Stunt double.
stunt double. He invited a
Yeah.
stunt double buddy over, and not his stunt double. Des doesn't just have a stunt double that he walks around with. That would be strange and also very cool. It sounds like
That'd be
something Des
awesome.
would do, to be honest with you. So
And
maybe
he
I should check on that. But what
fills
happened
in at
was
home.
he invites he invites him in. He invites him over and tells him, "Go ahead, good luck," and doesn't really give him any direction. And
Hmm.
he tries to do all these like crazy stunt maneuvers and stuff, and he's moving, flailing his arms and doing everything really fast. Dies over and over and over and over. And for this like super trained, like super athletic dude, he's like sweating
Yeah.
from head to toe, right? Just like it's
Yeah.
crazy. And then it's like, okay, now I get it. And he had to like kind of scale it back. And once he got it, once he understood the concept,
Hmm.
night and day, man, night and day. Dude
Yeah.
was so graceful and was just like had the whole thing under control. I mean, it's like because he talks about being a stunt double, having to choreograph all of that is very much like dance choreography. And I think Superhot VR is very much the same thing. So if you're interested in
Yeah.
hearing his thoughts on Superhot, which I go back and watch our old episode of Why We Love PSVR with
Right on.
Superhot VR that neither one of us were on.
Right. Yeah. It's like water ballerina stunt double, because you gotta like be really slow, like you're in sludge, and it,
Yeah,
it is challenging to do that, a neat premise, neat concept, it's such a simple idea too.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. A simple idea, great concept. Jeremy, what's our rating scale? Let's rate this sucker.
All right, we're gonna rate this. Number one, you'll pay full price. You'll even pay a little additional, 15% over, just so you can get this now and play it. Two, you won't pay over. You'll just do discounts, 75% off. You'll buy this game and you'll enjoy it and love it.
That's a lot off,
Three,
man. That's a big discount.
it is a big discount. Sometimes people are on a budget, especially nowadays. And then three, I don't give a shit if they give you money.
Wow.
You will just be like, no, I'm not going to play this piece of shit. Fuck this. Fuck you for offering it to me. Three.
How dare you?
So, Brian,
Yeah.
what do you rate this title?
We said at the beginning of the show that Superhot VR is a separate title from the original Superhot. So the first Superhot game is very much a first-person shooter, feels more like a first-person shooter because you are running around and doing everything, first-person style. And I'll tell you right here and now that like, man, I want that game in VR. Now that VR developers have figured out locomotion and figured out how to avoid motion sickness, or been like, who cares, man? Like most VR gamers don't care about motion sickness. They'll work through it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I love what we got here with Superhot VR, but it feels like a smaller part of the full game, and I think what we've got is so cool, and especially because they do kind of like give you this progression of like, oh, I was just down there, but now I'm over here, and the next scene will be up here, and they're
Yeah.
all pretty cool set pieces, and you're always hiding behind something. You've always got bullets whizzing by you in slow motion, and you hear the and that sound
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
just so cool. And the concept alone sells the game. So despite a few issues that I have with, throwing, as we talked about, and just trying to start the game and being like, oh, what these 3.5 inch discs, I don't know. It's despite silly quibbles, right? This is one of those games that defines VR for me. That says
Yeah.
we didn't need to give you the whole first person original Super Hot game. This is what we gave you, and it worked brilliantly.
Hmm.
It's something you can't play this game outside of VR. Like I said that I want the original game in VR, but this what they gave us was something you couldn't do outside of VR. And for that, I'm really really happy that we have it. I think $25 is extremely reasonable, and since it goes on sale all the time, I mean, at this point you might as well wait. I don't know, but
Yeah.
regardless, I love this game so much that I have to give it a one. Have to. Definite must have. It always makes our top 10 lists or top 25 lists. It's always in the top 10, I think, somewhere.
Hmm.
Highly recommended. But I'm curious to hear what you think about it.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, this game basically for the price point, I feel it's a little short, but that's the thing that's funny about this game where once you get good at it, you can rifle through this title I mean, well under an hour,
Yeah.
but it definitely took me quadruple that. I definitely spent probably 2 hours, I would think, on this game that, probably would be 45 minutes once you did it over and over and over again. And there's a lot of replay to this one because this is a game where I played it a while back, but then replaying it again recently, it was all new to me because you don't really
Right.
remember the puzzles and the layouts. You like have an idea of it, but you're like, oh, here we are again. And it's just as intense, and it does get you going, even though you're not moving fast. There's something about it where it gets you like worked up. And I think it's great the amount of adrenaline and the rage mode you get and you feel for this because it's stupid mistakes that you're doing that you're doing. And if one of these guys gets you on a bullet that normally they don't, you like got a vendetta against them. You're like, oh, you're fucking dead. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean, and it's so the sound is so basic. There's no music, correct? Like now I'm thinking there's no music,
Yeah, I'm
and you
not
don't need
remembering
it.
any. There may have been at pivotal moments, but I don't. Yeah, very
It
very
gives you
little, if any.
that sound when everything's kind of still and 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 the sound changes where you're moving faster, so it gets a little bit. You can tell sound wise you're moving faster.
Hmm.
It gets more real. So it's such a neat and simple premise. I've never played the normal Superhot. I feel like I can't. It's kind of like, but not like with Resident Evil 7. I couldn't play that flat screen. It was incredible in VR. I gotta say with Superhot and Superhot VR, I can't picture this on a flat screen. It would seem like they took away 90% of the game if it was on a flat screen.
Right.
You know, being in it and experiencing that, this is without a doubt one of those titles in my library that it's like, you need to play this if you're going to play VR. It's almost one of those titles that you want to introduce somebody to VR with,
Hmm.
to this game because it is a simple concept. Visually, it is very basic, but it's also not, and it's it was it just all flashed in my head a second. An old type of PS1, PS2 type of a game that had this art style reminded me. But yeah, it's just so simple but works so great. So I mean, without a doubt, this is a one. I think this game's awesome to have in the VR. It's a must-have VR library title, without a doubt. Solid one, even for the 24.99.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, yeah,
Fantastic. Well, I don't think you're going to hear too many people disagree
yeah.
with us about this. But if you are one of the people that disagree with us about this, make sure you comment below in the comments below and let us know what you thought of Super
Zero.
Hot VR. Did you play the original Super Hot? Did you only play the VR version? Did you only play the original version? Curious about the VR version? We want to know all your thoughts. Also, let us know what other games you want us to play. Uh, this has been such a crazy couple weeks for PlayStation VR. There's so many crazy games coming out. It's
Yo,
been nonstop. I've been anytime that I haven't been editing or on camera or something. I've been playing games behind the scenes, trying to get reviews done on time, and I still can't get them done on time because that's how overloaded I am right now.
crazy.
And so Super Hot was sort of one of those games where I was like, we don't have time for recommendations this week. What game do we both already own that we've both played
Yeah, yeah.
extensively? Let's do it, and it was
Perfect
perfect.
title. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let us know what other games you want us to play, and when things settle down a little bit, I'm sure we'll probably play some of them.
Shit.
Shit, Jeremy, for
Right.
another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. That's Jeremy King.
And that's Brian Paul.
Oh, and I love you all.
Oh, oh.